And as you heard earlier, President Bola Tinubu has declared a state of emergency in Rivers State. Governor Similaye Fubara, Deputy Governor Ngozi Odu, and all the members of the Rivers State House of Assembly were all suspended for 6 months. They're now being joined by former federal lawmaker, Senator Shehu. Sani, thank you so much for being on the news tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Almost immediately after the president's speech, you tweeted, and I'm just trying to get to your X account, and you said, the impeaching forces and the impeachment targets can now rest for 6 months. But some are asking the question, what does this mean? Does this mean that we have suspended the impeachment process for another 6 months? What happens after 6 months? And is this truly a security intervention to stabilize Rivers, or a political maneuvering to get power back?
Well, thank you very much for having me in your program. First of all, I must express my opinion by siding with the action of Mr. President as far as this state of emergency is concerned. For the very fact that in the last 1.5 years, the state has been in turmoil, in an endless and intractable political conflict that seriously affects the political, economic, and social life of people of Rivers State, and by extension, threatening the peace and stability of the country. The crisis in Rivers have defied 3 solutions. It has defied legal solutions, it has defied political solutions, and even it has defied spiritual solutions. What is the legal solutions? The journey has been from Rivers State High Court to Court of Appeal to the Supreme Court. Despite all these judicial pronouncements, there was no peace. What is the political solution? The president on 2 and 3 occasions tried to mediate between the 2 gladiators. There was no peace. Elders from Rivers State tried to intervene. There was no peace. Elders from Niger Delta tried to intervene. There was no peace. Someone like our late Edwin Clark tried to intervene. There was no peace. Even the governors from Niger Delta, they tried. There was no peace. So you can see how the political dimension to it too has not produced peace. The spiritual dimension has been prayers from all sides. Prayers has not even delivered peace. So for a president of a country like this, and with a state like Rivers that is not just an ordinary state, a state that occupies a key economic position in the organogram of this country, no responsible president would fold his arms and see the breakdown of law and order. So for anyone holding the position of leadership, you look at a problem and try to contain it from that very point. Because if pipelines are being blown in Rivers, it's not going to stop in Rivers. And the options are 2. For the side of Wiki, they want an impeachment. I don't think they want a state of emergency. And for the side of Fubara, they want to remain in office. If you take the side of impeachment, there will be violence in Rivers State. People are up in the street lining up for the governor, and pipelines are being blown. So if you impeach him, this is what will have happened. And if you refuse to impeach him, the point is that for now, governance has been paralyzed and stagnated because of the rift between the state assembly. So the options taken by the president is in the best interest of the state and the country as far as I'm concerned.
Many would argue with you that it's really not about the best interest of the state or Nigeria. As a matter of fact, I mean, you say that it's defied all manner of interventions, legal, political, spiritual. But some would say that the president seemed half-hearted in his intervention, that at the end of the day, he really was not willing to lose Rivers State because of the political undertones and because of 2027. And so he says to Pandef, go back home, apply the rule of law. But the rule of law has been the #1 casualty in this matter on all sides. Do you think really there is a political way, or that peace truly is the end game in this, crisis in Rivers State?
Well, the end game,
and not political power.
What are the interests of the 2 sides? It's very clear that the State Assembly wants to impeach Governor Fubara, and that is what they want. And to do that, there are consequences for both the state and the whole country. And on the other side, if you keep him as a governor with a hostile state assembly, then with what is going on is that governance will be stifled indefinitely. So a responsible president cannot just fold his arms. Something must be done. I've listened to the submission and the presentation by the earlier guests, and one of my brother was saying that there's need to go to court. This going to court is not producing anything. Even if you go to court, which court are you going? The Supreme Court. Is there the Supreme Court that ruled in favor of the 27 lawmakers, and that has not produced peace. So should we now wait for all the pipelines in Niger Delta to be blown while waiting for judgment from the Supreme Court? I don't think this is
What do
right.
you say to those who criticize the president's speech today, saying it was, rather one-sided? It did not chastise both sides in this matter, and it's unfair on the governor who's become, the president came down really hard to the extent of even calling him a despot.
Well, that is for the speech writers. As far as I'm concerned, my own interest is virtually to share the interests of the people of River State, which is to see that at least for the next 6 months, even 6 months is not just for them just to go and sit down, but I believe it's also a window for the two sides to sit down to discuss the issues and find solutions. It has been said that when two brothers fight, it's the strangers that inherit the kingdom. So I want that the new administrator, because for peace to reign in River State, it's not just you have a new administrator who's going to be there for 6 months, who will not make laws, but he too has to engage the people of the state and engage the militants that have started blowing pipeline. If you don't do that, the whole 6 months will be wasted. My own interest is to see that there is peace in River State. That is all.
And I think that a lot of people are interested in peace. Well, I cannot speak for the parties involved in the Rivers crisis. But you also highlighted something the president reiterated about the bombings of pipeline in River State in your submission earlier. And then you asked the question, was this a measured approach or a drastic one? Some will question, we've seen pipeline vandalism, pipeline explosion in the past. Could the president have told another part, such as deploy more troops to secure the pipelines, rather than declaring a state of emergency? What's your opinion?
You see, there is no troops that can be deployed to end the blowing of that pipeline, because the blowing of this pipeline was directly as a result of the crisis in River State. If you solve the problem of crisis in River State, yes, we have been having piracy and illegal refineries and that, but these ones that happen specifically is about the political conflict in River State. And the only way to avert it, to stop it from spreading beyond where it happened to other parts of rivers and other parts of Niger Delta, and to return the country back to the agitation years, is the action that is taken by Mr. President at this very time. Let me tell you this. You see, most conflict starts with a very small reasons for it. It will reach a certain point whereby even if the political conflict is addressed, there will still be attacks because there are still issues that have been unaddressed in Niger Delta, despite they had one as their own president. So I felt that everyone, if all parts of the country, whoever you are, wherever state you come from, you must be interested in what happened in River State, because it's only on the basis of having peace in that state that any other thing can be added. The gladiators, the minister of FCT and the governor of the state,
and I'm glad
have to put the interest of the state above their own personal interests, and that is what is needed for now.
I'm glad you mentioned the minister of the FCT. Many would actually say now that the Federal Executive Council will be, taking over the affairs of Rivers State, and you have the minister of the FCT in the person of Nyesom Wike, who is a member of the FEC. Would it not be fair to say that maybe Nyesom Wike should step aside so that it's seen to be fair on all sides? Do you agree with those who are saying that?
You see, political conflicts needs political solutions. And whatever happens in River State today, you cannot remove the key and instrumental factor of Wike. And you cannot have peace without Wike and without Fubara. So both of them are needed within this window of 6 months to have peace. If the issue is before the Federal Executive Council, it is for the president to use his wisdom, to use the levers of his leadership to see that he returns the state back to peace. Whether the Wike is there or is not, the most important thing is that we all want peace in River State.
Very quickly, Senator, the implications of this on our democracy and politics. For some, they're already seeing this as a governing APC president, President Bola Tinubu, declaring a state of emergency in an opposition state, PDP River State. I mean, should opposition parties be worried at the mention of state of emergency when they have political crisis in their state? Are there any impacts? And then when you look at the democracy that you have so fought for so hard, and you see that a state of emergency is declared to resolve a political crisis, as you put it, are you not concerned?
You see, when this state of emergency happened during Obasanjo administration, which was almost getting to 20 years ago, there are many who thought that we have gone beyond that. But unfortunately, this is where we are. And in a country like ours, fragile and nurtured to such a level, we must be careful. Look at what happened in Sudan. Look at what's happened in Tunisia. And look at what happened in Somalia. Sudan started with a protest on bread, and then protest against the government. And now the whole country is
snowballed
lost
into something else.
So this is what I believe that need to be done and has been done. But in the interest of peace, the FCT minister and Fubara, his own godson, need to sit down to restore peace in River State in the interest of
It's a good
Nigeria.
place to leave it. Senator Shehu Sani, thank you very much for joining us on Newsnight today. We'll be keeping an eye on events in River State. We're still staying there.